Today we're going to talk about safety on the Evolution chop saw. So as you're using this, you need to have your safety glasses on. I also want you to wear a face shield. This is going to throw off lots of little tiny hot metal shavings. So you don't want to be burning your face or getting them down your shirt or anything like that. You also need to be wearing long sleeves, whether that's a leather jacket or a hoodie or something like that. Long sleeves. Hair needs to be tied back if you have long hair that's longer than your shoulders. Same with baggy clothes. If you have clothes that are baggy, you need to take those off and put a leather jacket on or something. So looking a little closer here at the saw, we're going to kind of go over what we can and can't cut with this. So if I open the blade guard up, I don't want to be cutting anything that's going to be fitting between my teeth here. So for example, we have this small piece of square bar, and you see how that can slide up in the teeth there, slide between all these teeth. That's too small to cut on here. You need to find a different way to cut that. Same with this piece. You got a piece of angle iron, and you see how that web slides up in between the teeth. And that's also too small to cut this way. What we're going to do with angle iron to cut it, we're going to flip it over so that it's facing that way, and that gives us more surface contact for the teeth on the saw. The next thing is, as you're cutting, you're going to start the saw with the blade guard closed. You're going to let it come up to full speed, and then you're just really slowly going to feed it into your metal. Nice and slow. If you cram it into the metal, this blade has little carbides on it, and those carbides will break off. So we're going to feed nice and slow and take your time. Over on the other side of the chop saw here, right here we have an Allen wrench. Please put it back there when you're done with it. And on the back of the vise here, we have a couple bolts. So we're going to loosen those up. What that allows us to do is turn this back jaw, as you can see here. Right here, you guys can't see it, but there is a scale so you can see what angle you're cutting at. And then there's a witness line right in here. It's yellow. So that shows you what angle you're at. So that's how you set it to an angle. To set it back, what I like to do is I like to get it close to 0 and then take a square, a combination square, loosen up the combination square and set it so that the ruler isn't sticking out of the end here. Tighten that down and then bring the saw down a little bit so that you can stick the combination square against the back of the vise jaw and get that jaw squared up nicely. And then I'm just going to snug both of the bolts down, get them nice and snug, and then tighten them down the rest of the way. And the last thing is, don't forget to put the Allen wrench right back there. I'm just going to check it one more time. This is one of these things, getting your vise, the back jaw on your vise squared. Okay, that's perfect. Will save you a lot of time in the long run if you take the time and get it squared up right now. That makes it way easier down the road. Then if we plan on moving this chop saw, what I like to do is I close the vise all the way. just like that. Lower this down. You see this hook right here? If you lower it down all the way, you can hook the chain that you'll find on the front of the saw onto the saw. That'll keep it down, and then you can lift it from the handle on the top here. For cutting long pieces of material, to the left of the saw, we have a little roller, and I usually keep that about, I don't know, 5 or 10 feet away from the saw, just to prop up the left side of your offcut. The last item I want to cover is if you put a big mark on it like that, that mark's about 3/16 wide. So I don't know if I want to cut on this side or that side with my blade, or maybe down the middle. That's a really super inaccurate way to mark things. What I like to do to get a far more accurate cut is take my tape measure, bring the saw down, and I kind of use my shoulder to support the saw so it'll stay down. And then you can stick your tape measure right up against the saw blade and slide your piece of material in or out and get it exactly where you want it. So once you've selected your piece of material, one thing to keep in mind is as you're cutting this, you don't want to be cutting something so small that it's smaller than this movable jaw right here. If it's smaller than that, you need to find a different way to cut whatever it is that you're trying to cut. Also, as you cut, you need to keep your left hand on your piece of material you're cutting, and then your right hand will stay on the saw.